to rock this place.
Welcome to the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room, Season 3, Episode 13. I'm your host, Jamie Malloy, and it's good to be back after a week's break. Let's get back to talking some Week 13 football or Week 14 football and bring on my co-host, Joe Dallio. So without any further ado, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going great, Jamie. I like the ring to that. Episode 3 and show 13. That's my birthday there, 313. So I guess that's going to be a great show here that we got. And we had our bye week again. So just like a real football team, I think we're ready and refreshed to come back and provide some great information here. What do you think?
Yeah. We put in the game plan. Now we got to execute, right?
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
Like Russell Westbrook used to say, we did a great job at executing.
Executing, yes.
So are you ready to talk about the Thursday night matchup between the 6, 5, and 1? Yes, that dang one, right, Joe? That's going to keep coming up. But it's also going to come up in another game, which we're going to talk about later, the Packers. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the 7 and 5, but kind of inconsistent, but battle-tested Detroit Lions. Both of these teams have really been battle-tested, I think, at Ford Field. So on Detroit's first drive of the game with 10:50 left in the first quarter, Jake Bates from the UFL kicked a 38-yard field goal, bringing the score to Detroit 3, Dallas nothing. And the Cowboys returned the same on their first drive. It's also from the UFL, Brandon Aubrey kicked a 57-yard field goal with 8:12 left in the first quarter to knock the score at 3-all. Jahmyr Gibbs scored on a touchdown on a 6-play, 42-yard drive with 2:17 left in the first quarter to give the Lions their first lead of the game, 10-3. With 9:27 left in the second quarter, Aubrey kicked the second field goal of the game, this time for 42 yards to cut the score to 10-6 Detroit. Next, David Montgomery, Alabama, scored on a touchdown on a 4-play, 53-yard drive, taking 1:48 off the clock with 4:36 left in the second quarter to increase the Lions' lead to 17-6. With 55 seconds left in the first half, Brandon Aubrey kicked his third field goal, this time for 55 yards, to bring the score to 17-9. With 4 seconds left in the first half, Jake Bates hit his second field goal of the game, this time for 47 yards to close out the half with a score of Detroit 20, Dallas 9. With 4:18 left in the third quarter, Isaac TeSlaa, or as Jason Derulo would say, Isaac TeSlaa, scored a touchdown on a 2-play, 14-yard drive to give the Lions the lead 27-9. With 10:43 left in the third quarter, Javonte Williams scored a touchdown on a 9-play, 66-yard drive to cut the score to 27-16 Lions. With 2:54 left in the third quarter, Brandon Aubrey kicked his fourth field goal, this time for 63 yards, cutting the score to 27-19. With 11:54 left in the fourth quarter, Jake Bates kicked his third field goal of the game for 46 yards to increase the Lions' score to 30-19. Ryan Flournoy scored a touchdown on a 4 play 70-yard drive, taking 158 off the clock with 9:57 left in the fourth quarter, cutting the lead to Lions 30, Cowboys 27. With 7:22 left in the fourth quarter, Gibbs scored a touchdown on a 5-play, 59-yard drive, taking 2:35 off the clock to increase Detroit's lead to 37-27. With 3:45 left in the fourth quarter, Brandon Aubrey kicked his fifth field goal for 29 yards to cut the lead to 37-30. Gibbs scored again on a 51-yard drive, taking 123 off the clock with 2:25 left in the fourth quarter to increase the Lions' lead to 44-30. And that's how the game would end. So, Joe, what do you think of the Lions bouncing back after another loss?
Not a surprise, to be honest with you, and certainly not a surprise that we saw a ton of offensive fireworks here. To be expected, right, with these two teams and the way that they play. I got to say, Jamie, every time I'm watching a Cowboys game and I see Aubrey going to kick a field goal, I think I've said this on the show, guess whose voice is ringing in my head every time this dude goes to take a kick? Definitely. And I mean that as a positive. Just speaking of Aubrey, I mean, this guy just kicks field goals from everywhere on the field like it's nothing. You mentioned he had a 63-yarder. Oh, by the way, Aubrey had a 63-yard field goal. There was a day where 53-yard field goals were miracles, and now he's kicking 63-yarders just like it's nothing. So, kudos to him. The teams showed up and played as you thought. I mean, this was the type of game where and it's still the case based on the way things are playing out, that the loser of this game really had damaged playoff chances. And especially, I think there was more pressure on the Lions playing this game at home with the higher expectations. I mean, Dallas was expected to be maybe a playoff bubble team. Maybe they get in, probably they don't. And that's probably, that's where they stand at this point. The Lions, though, were, again, regarded as it will be a lot more surprising that the Lions don't get in the playoffs. And that was the prediction in the beginning of the season and even now. So I think more pressure was on them. You knew, again, both of these teams were going to come out firing and playing with desperation, more so the Lions, and the Lions ended up winning the game. And again, you can't criticize the Cowboys as far as their offensive production. In fact, they outgained the Lions, 417 yards to 408. So, I mean, it was very close. I believe Dallas had the more time of possession. They did by about 3 minutes in the game. But you want to win games like this, you cannot turn the ball over 3 times. The Lions didn't turn the ball over at all. So, Dak Prescott threw for a lot of yards, yes, but a couple of interceptions there. And, that was the difference in this game. Jared Goff had big-time yards too, but, again, didn't turn the ball over, 309 yards and a touchdown there. So that's the difference, in my opinion, in this game. And, besides the fact, again, I think there was more pressure on the Lions playing at home, playing, with the higher expectations. But, again, well-played game, but the Lions stayed true here and kept themselves right in the hunt, not only for, playoff spot, but still in the hunt for a division championship here as well. Dallas is going to probably have to win out. And I believe I didn't look at their schedule, but I think they got some tough games coming up here. So it's going to be really tough for them to get in the playoffs here, especially with a crowded NFC playoff picture. But the Lions got themselves in a good position here. And like I said, still in line to possibly win the NFC North.
Mm-hmm. And, Joe, do you think that the Cowboys would have had a better shot if CeeDee Lamb didn't get hurt and had to leave the game?
Yeah, of course they would have. A big part of their offense, obviously, probably the biggest part of their offense as far as, the receiving core, obviously. He still had over 100 yards in that game, 6 catches for 121 yards. So, great job there. And Flournoy, seems to be making more of a significant impact here. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown there. Jake Ferguson's been playing great all year, had another great game. So, certainly, excuse me, Lamb being out for a part of that game had an effect, but still, you can't turn the ball over 3 times, like I said, and that was the ultimate effect in the Cowboys losing this game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now are you ready to talk about our game of the week, the 1:00 game, which is the 4-8 Cincinnati Bengals taking on the 8-4 Buffalo Bills at Highmark Stadium?
Let's talk about those Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. On the Bengals' first drive of the game in 14 plays, Chase Brown scored on a 67-yard drive, taking 8:15 off the clock in a snowy game, giving the Bengals the lead, 7-0. The Bills responded with a Matt Prater 26-yard field goal to cut the lead to 7-3. With 13:39 left in the second quarter, T.E. Higgins scored on a 21-yard touchdown pass from Joe Burrow to bring the score to 14-3. With 7:36 left in the second quarter, Khalil Shakir, his premier, scored on a 12-play, 70-yard drive, and the 2-point conversion was good, bringing the score to 14-11 Cincinnati. With 3:18 left in the second quarter, Brown scored on a 10-yard pass from Burrow to increase the Bengals' lead to 21-11 at halftime. With 9:20 left in the third quarter, Dalton Kincaid scored on a 75-yard drive on 9 plays, taking 5:40 off the clock, cutting the lead to 21-18 Bengals. With 8:44 left in the fourth quarter, Mike Gesicki scored on an 80-yard touchdown drive on 12 plays, taking 7:02 off the clock to increase their lead to 28-18. With 7:33 left in the fourth quarter, Josh Allen called his own number and scored on himself on a 40, or scored not on himself, he scored himself on a 40-yard touchdown to cut the lead to 28-25. With 5:25 left in the fourth quarter, Christian Benford intercepted Burrow for a 63-yard touchdown, giving Buffalo their first lead of the game, 32-28. With 5:11 left in the fourth quarter, A.J. Epinesa intercepted for Burrow's second pick of the game. And he came into the game throwing no interceptions all year.
Mm-hmm.
With 3:09 left in the fourth quarter, Allen tossed a 3-yard pass to Jackson Hawes to give the Bills an increased lead, 39-28. With 2:18 left in the game, Burrow threw a 25-yard touchdown pass to Higgins, but the 2-point conversion failed, bringing the final score to 39-34 Buffalo. And, of course, Josh Allen, we know how it ended. Josh Allen said, I'm going to take it myself on that 3rd and 15. Bam, game over. So, Joe, were you as nervous as I was in the first half as Burrow looked hot and Josh had never beaten him before? I don't know if you saw the stat line, but he was 0-2 against Burrow before this game.
Yes, good question. I did see that stat that he's never beaten Burrow, and I certainly was nervous because the Bills could not stop the Bengals for anything, and Burrow was playing very confidently. The whole, the Bengals offense was moving like a machine. And even in the second half, I had my doubts because even though the Bills were getting back in the game and had gone ahead, it's like, I'm not so confident that they're going to be able to stop this team. And just a couple of interceptions, like you said, Burrow didn't have any interceptions before. Now, not that I want to make excuses for him, but perhaps the cold, made it so that, because they were both on deflections, right? They were both where balls were deflected and picked off, and the one Benford ran all the way in, and then Epinesa got the other one. So I was thinking about that earlier. It's like he's throwing the ball so well all game, and why particularly on deflections here? And the only thing I can think of was maybe the cold had gotten to him and it was harder to grip the ball. I really don't know. And again, I'm not going to make excuses for him. I mean, Burrow did play a great game. Unfortunately, those 2 turnovers were key and at the totally wrong times, and the Bills took full advantage of them. So, we kind of felt bad for him a little bit because he had played such a great game. But just this game was just fun to watch just because, I'm from Buffalo and I take this stuff for granted. And, even you being from Western New York, it doesn't snow as much where you are, but still, I think we Western New Yorkers tend to take these types of games for granted. I remember growing up on Long Island and watching games from Buffalo like this, like, oh, wow, it's a snow globe game. How cool, And this to me was just one of those snow globe games. And it wasn't a dangerous snow. I mean, there was only maybe a couple of inches that had fallen during the game. It was a steady snow, but still, it just reminded me of being a kid and, watching those kind of games from places where it doesn't snow like it does here. And it's cool to watch. And I kind of got that little flashback, watching this game here. But speaking of taking things for granted, I'm guilty. And sometimes we Buffalonians and Western New Yorkers here, I think we have a tendency to sometimes take Josh Allen for granted. And I kind of did. And it wasn't until really going through the stats of this game that it's like, oh my goodness, this guy, people say he's got to play like Superman in order for the Bills to win sometimes. And OMG, he played like Superman here. He had like 6 touchdowns a couple of games ago. This game, 4. 3 passing touchdowns, 1 running touchdown, 78 yards rushing, besides the 250 or so that he threw for, 139.7 quarterback rating, which is excellent. So again, Josh Allen, playing like Superman. And I think I can't speak for you or anybody else, but I tend to take him for granted sometimes because we've seen these types of performances so much that it's, just another Josh Allen performance. But again, this one was especially clutch because they could have easily lost this game. And, the Bills out-yarded the Bengals significantly, almost by 100, like 416 to 338. Now, again, Joe Burrow, give him credit, 4 touchdowns. Those untimely interceptions did him in. The Bills defense, we can't say, wow, what a good performance. There were some, including some guy named Poyer. Speaking of flashbacks, I was getting like a 2021 flashback or 2020 flashback, seeing Jordan Poyer make some of the plays that he made in this game. He led the team with 8 tackles, and it seems like a few of those times were like clutch plays. And again, this is the Jordan Poyer from 5 years ago here. So, just some concerning things still. I was concerned again. Are the Bills ever going to stop this team? But they did. They figured it out. And, the offense certainly played their part and scoring 39 points. Now, again, you might say, well, a lot of people score big points against the Bengals, and that's true. But clutch performance by the Bills offense, figuring things out, getting it going when they needed to. And, again, receiving by committee. And, Cook having one of his typical games, not 100 yards, but he still had like 80. And again, Josh Allen rushing for 78. So, again, a big win, and we'll certainly take it. And, I haven't really talked to too many people about this game, so I'm curious to see, what your opinion is, and what were some of the strengths and weaknesses of the Bills, and what are some things that you thought stood out in this game?
I think Cincinnati was playing so well that the Bills aren't usually built to come back from high shootouts like this, but they did it. They found a way to do it, even with a team that's not equipped to do it, which is even more impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also thought though, Joe, did you notice even though Chase Brown's not a great running back, but he's still on pace for almost 1,000 yards. What did you think of the run defense actually playing well in this game, though. Even though Chase Brown had a touchdown, the run defense actually played better than the pass defense, and it's usually been the other way around.
Yeah, that's true. And Chase Brown has struggled. He took a step back a little bit this year, as some fantasy owner friends would attest. He's been a little bit of a disappointment for them. Although you said, I mean, he's still potentially going to get 1,000 yards for the season.
ESPN has him getting 997, which would actually be a career high for him because last year he had 990, which was a career high, and this is only his third year with the Bengals. But go ahead.
Okay. I think people still expected maybe a little more from him. But yeah, I mean, give the Bills defense credit for stopping the run and something that they haven't done as well as they would like throughout the year. And, you could take the momentum from this. Obviously, you're going to have need a lot more performances like this and stopping the run a lot more as we get, towards the end of the season here and into potential playoff games here. So they could certainly use what they did here and take further steps to improve that even more.
Because, Joe, guess what? Even though our run defense is like one of the worst in the league, did you know we have a top 10 total defense in the league? Mm-hmm. If you look at ESPN, our defense actually ranked 10th. And that's with our run defense being so bad. Could you imagine where we would be if our run defense was good? We'd probably be a top 6 or a top 5, maybe.
Right, I agree.
So I mean, yeah, everybody says this defense is so bad. Statistically, it's in the top 10 in the league. People forget that it is.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's still room for improvement, of course. And, they're going to have to make some big plays and step up again as these games get more significant. And, should they get in the playoffs here, then obviously they'd have to step up. But, and that's a good stat, Jamie. I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware that it was top 10. I would have put them maybe in the middle of the pack, around 15 overall. Mm-hmm. But that's good to know. And again, I think they're making improvements, and they can certainly move that ranking up even higher. If they
it is like I said, Joe, it is in the top 10. It just doesn't
mm-hmm.
feel like it, but it is, when you watch the games, it doesn't feel like it, but they are in the top 10 is because it's the run defense that's dragging that number.
Right. Okay. But that's good to know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And their offense is number 2 behind the Cowboys. The Cowboys have the number 1. I don't know if you knew that.
I thought, I wasn't sure who was number 1, but you saying the Cowboys, that certainly doesn't surprise me.
And we're number 2, which is actually mm-hmm. good.
And that doesn't surprise me either.
Mm-hmm. And that's with our offense being kind of one-dimensional, too, that we have the second best offense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, should we I also was going to say, what do you think about Christian Benford, Joe, stepping it up this week with an interception and a 63-yard touchdown? But also, what did you think about them surprising Burrow, giving him a little pop goes the weasel with the corner blitzes? I mean, he didn't seem to do well in those. And like I said, because Joey Bosa was out, we haven't really had to do corner blitzes, but it seems like we were getting pressure from those. And do you think we're going to be corner blitzing more often now?
Ooh, that's a good question. Now, I loved those play calls, and I did notice that a few times during that game. And again, there was a couple of times, where Burrow took blindsided hits, from those corners. So I think it was a great call defensively. Now, again, whether they continue to do that, because other teams watch film too, and maybe the Bills saw something there that, caused them to say, hey, we see this weakness here, so let's do some corner blitzes here. And it obviously worked. Something was exploited. But, is that necessarily something that would work as well in future games? And now especially teams could be looking for it. So it is something that perhaps they could use, maybe not as much. But I think they knew something going into this game to deploy that, and it certainly worked.
It could this week with Drake May, because you got to remember, as good as he's playing, mm-hmm. he's still a second-year quarterback, and I don't. If Joe Burrow couldn't handle those, maybe we give him a few cornerback blitzes, and that might. I don't know if he's really ready to handle those yet. If Burrow couldn't handle them,
Right.
So, like, same thing with Denver. If we played Denver in the playoffs, we corner blitz Bo Nix, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly recommend it. Again, I don't know how often or if they would, how often they would use it, or, if it's something that they're going to like stress now and see how well it worked in this game. It's a very good question. And I look forward to finding out the answer.
And I told you why they did it, because Joey Bosa is hurt and they were having a hard time getting it from their defensive end. So they said, let's just send the corners on the blitz, and they got them. So
yeah,
anyway.
Great idea.
Yeah. Isn't it too bad though? I know do we really got to feel bad for the Bengals at this point? I mean, I think we do, but they do this every year, Joe, right? Especially because Burrow's been out for some time, and the team really didn't look that bad with Burrow at the helm. And isn't this the same old Bengals though? This year they started out 2-0, but then Burrow got hurt. Mm-hmm. They went to a slow start and didn't really do that great with Flacco. And then we thought when Burrow came back, it was, oh my God, they're going to win 5 in a row again and finish 9-8. But it looks like law of average caught up to them and Buffalo beat them. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. In fact, they showed the stat during the game. They were 3-0 with Burrow in the game because they won the game he came back against the Ravens on Thanksgiving there. So 3-0 with him, and I think they said 1-8 without him. So guy makes a difference, I guess, right? And I thought so, especially after they won that Ravens game. I was like, uh-oh, here they come. Same old Bengals, like you said, making the move at the end. But I just thought, the odds were against them, and still with some difficult games. This was before the Bills game here. So, winning at Buffalo is almost an impossible task. So I just thought there was too much of an uphill climb. If Burrow maybe would have missed half the time that he missed, they could have pulled the Houdini act that they pulled in the past. But I just think there was too much going against them this time. And the only reason I thought maybe they had a chance was because of how weak the division is. With Baltimore and Pittsburgh floundering, I said, well, watch this team get hot and overtake both of them potentially. But they never got it going without Burrow. And then, again, too much of an uphill climb even with Burrow. So, yeah, I don't think the Rabbits come out of the hat this year.
And I think it's funny how you said they've been able to pull the Houdini act. Well, last year, is it a coincidence that he did it because he had the Slim Shady haircut? And that was
right.
a popular song.
Right.
Houdini.
And I didn't even mean to. I do a lot of puns on purpose. That was not one of them. I can't take credit for that one.
But anyway, wasn't it nice to see Dawson Knox get involved more in the game with 6 receptions and 93 yards receiving? We know what Salino Law is going to be saying.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dawson. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the best game I've seen him play in a couple of years, I think. 6 catches, 93 yards, and some of those were big catches too, where they needed, a big play. So last 2 or 3 years, I can't remember Dawson Knox playing a better game, probably since Dalton Kincaid came around. That's the best game Knox has played, I think.
Mm-hmm. So should we now give our predictions for the Week 15 game against the New England Patriots? You want to go first, though?
I think there's no better time than now. Who's going to go first?
You go first.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say something here. So to our audience, don't shut your computer down until I say everything I'm going to say. Okay. So first we're going to make a prediction on this game, but I'm going to take it a step further because I see this happening. I've told a few people that I see this coming. Prediction for this game: Patriots 27, Bills 26. Now, we know that if the Bills lose this game, pretty much any chance of winning the division is gone. Okay, again, keep your computers on. Stay with us, please. I don't want to lose our audience. Here's what I think is going to happen, though, honestly. So, okay, Patriots take the division. Bills still play well enough in the remaining games to get in the playoffs. I could see this clearly happening here. The Bills playing their first game, it's going to have to be on the road. I swear, I think they're going to play the Patriots again in the first round of the playoffs. I could see the Patriots being like a 2 seed or even a 3 seed. The Bills being like that 7 or 6, or I should say 6, 7. I don't know. We'll leave it at that. But I couldn't resist. I'm an 8th grade teacher. I got to go with that any chance I can get. I've seen so many rolls of the eyes in my house here when I say that, but anyway, hopefully that doesn't shut our podcast down. But anyway, I could definitely see the Bills playing the Patriots in the first round. And do you really think an inexperienced Patriots team is going to beat this battle-tested, playoff-tested Buffalo Bills teams 3 times in a season? I certainly don't. So I think, okay, the Bills lose this battle and lose the division battle with it. But I think in the end, these 2 teams meet again, first round of the playoffs, and the Bills end up getting revenge there.
What makes you think, even though in Foxborough?
Because I think that the Patriots take this game, and I think it's just going to be too much for the Bills to come back and win this division. So I think it is in Foxborough. But again, the Bills win that game.
What makes you think that they could beat them in Foxborough in the playoffs? So even if they lose this game?
Because I don't think the Patriots, I think the Patriots honestly are going to lose to whoever they play in the first round, and it's going to be in Foxborough. I just think they're not quite ready yet. I mean, yes, they got a great record and they're playing great games, and I am guilty of not giving this team enough credit all season long. But when you look at, again, the experience, and again, Vrabel's got a questionable, he's got an excellent regular season record. His playoff record seems a little questionable to me. He's had some really good teams and high seeds and came up short. So, again, the Bills know how to win. And again, it's very difficult for any team to beat somebody 3 times in an NFL season. So
or in any sport.
In any sport, that's right. So I just think with the experience the Bills have, they're not playing well on the road. I get that. And that's why, again, I can see them losing this game in a very, very close, again, 27-26 Patriots here. But I would be very surprised if these 2 teams meet in the playoffs and the Bills did not win that game. So that's
right. Right, Joe. Like we said, the Patriots are good, but they're not ready to make another 20-year run like they did with a previous. Let's pump the brakes on that. I don't think they're ready for that talk yet to make another 20-year run. Even though Dave Portnoy would respectfully disagree, because when he beat I don't know if you saw when he was on Wake Up Barstool. He's like, this game we beat the Bills. He's like, we just created another dynasty. We're gonna go on another 20-year run with Drake May, like we did with Tom Brady. And he was declaring that because he was so excited. He was hyped up on Mountain Dew after that game.
Wrong. I disagree. Yes, they could be a good team for a long time, especially if Drake May stays healthy and keeps playing like he is. Yeah, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with for a while, but yeah, not a Brady type dynasty there.
It could happen, but it's very rare. It's rare for lightning to strike twice in a bottle like that, especially with the same team. But
right.
Anyway,
right. I have my doubts.
And there's more parity now too than when Brady started it. That's the difference. So
right.
But, okay. So anyway, my prediction, Joe, is I do agree with you. However, I think they're going to beat them 27-26, and I think they get into one, and they make it into one game. But I have a crazier prediction. we're
Go
gonna
ahead.
we're gonna end up taking the division, and the Patriots are gonna have to come to Buffalo, and we beat them in Buffalo.
Okay. I certainly would not mind that scenario.
And wouldn't it be sweet to wouldn't it be cooler to eliminate the New England to eliminate the New England Patriots for the last time in Highmark? Wouldn't that be sweeter?
Yes. Oh, that would be amazing. I would love to see that. And of course, would much rather have a home playoff game than have to go to Foxborough. But I like your scenario there. And it's certainly not out of the question. Again, especially the way the Bills have been playing.
Yep. Anyway, let's take a look at the 4:25 p.m. competition between the two Ken and Kens from the two Ken and Ken teams from Jeremy's Huddle Sports Network. It's the 9-3 Chicago Bears, Ken the Bears fan team, and versus the 8-3-1 Green Bay Packers, Kitty Ken, meow, at Lambeau Field. The Packers. So here we go with 9:19 left in the second quarter. Not Deshaun Watson, but Christian Watson caught a 23-yard pass. Sorry if that offended anybody, from Jordan. What's love got to do with it? To give the Packers the lead 7-0. With 1:14 left in the half, Cairo Santos, St. Cairo in English, which would be, kicked a 33-yard field goal to cut the lead to 7-3 Packers. With 38 seconds left in the half, Bo Melton caught a 45-yard pass from Love, giving Green Bay a 14-3 lead at the half. With 8:20 left in the third, Omide Zachuas caught a 1-yard touchdown.
Bless you.
Huh?
I said, bless you.
Thanks. Caught a 1-yard touchdown from Caleb Williams, who gave Fox the green light to expose him painting his fingernails, which is funny. And the 2-point conversion was good, cutting the lead to 14-11 Green Bay. With 6:10 left in the third, Watson caught his second touchdown for 21 yards, bringing the score to 21-11 Green Bay. How funny is that? The second game on Fox was 21-11 Green Bay at the half, just like it was Cincinnati 21, Bills 11 at the half.
That's right. And it's not a score you see every day either.
Right. With 3:15 left in the third, Santos hit his second field goal of the game for 41 yards to bring the score to 21-14. With 8 minutes left in the fourth, Colston Loveland caught a 1-yard touchdown pass to knock the score at 21-all. And Joe, I have a question for you. What happens when you mix Jordan Love with Cleveland? You get Colston Loveland. With 3:22 left in the game, Josh Jacobs ran in for a 2-yard touchdown, giving the Packers the win 28-21. So what do you think about the Packers taking over first place in the division over the Bears?
Not surprised. I always thought since the first couple of games that the Packers were the best teams in that division, the best team in that division. Again, you got 3 teams fully capable of winning it, and that's still the case. I think the Packers are the best overall, though. I really, got what I expected in this game. I figured Packers would win by about a touchdown, and they were winning by more, and they looked like they might, make this, a real statement win. But I think the Bears made a statement in the fact that they're not going away. They're not going anywhere. And they made a nice comeback to the point where I thought, oh my goodness, they could take this game away from the Packers. And imagine if they had, because they were already the number 1 seed of the NFC going into this game. So imagine if they had taken this game, the stronghold they would have on the division, first of all, but also on that number 1 seed. So I don't think the Bears rather played a bad game. Caleb Williams maybe played a subpar game, didn't do anything crazy, had a couple of touchdown passes, but nothing much beyond that. A key interception, and really nothing special about the Bears offense throughout the whole game. Packers had some good performances there. Jordan Love with 3 touchdown passes. Josh Jacobs had a typical Josh Jacobs game of his, and he scored a touchdown. Christian Watson, thank you for the daily fantasy help. 2 touchdowns, almost 90 yards in receiving. So he played a nice part in that. Tackling machine Edgar and Cooper on defense for the Packers, shutting down the Bears. So, a good solid game with 2 very good teams, and the Packers with that one that you were talking about at the beginning of the show there, 9-3-1, still, and the Bears 9-4. So certainly a long way to go here with 4 games left for these teams, and still a lot of things that can happen in the division and in the conference. But again, as a neutral observer, we got to see an entertaining game here, and both teams playing decent. And the team that I think is slightly better ended up winning.
And Joe, why do you think on that 4th down play, Caleb Williams didn't try to run it and pick up the first down? Instead, he threw the ball and got picked. I don't know if you saw that. I think he should have ran and he would have gotten the first down.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I guess, only Caleb Love can answer that question. And it's easy in hindsight to look back. I agree with you, though. I think he would have had a much better chance running it and a lot less chance for error, But, you're in that situation and you got to make a quick decision. And that's the decision he made. And unfortunately, it was the wrong one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now drawing our attention to the Sunday night matchup between the 6-5 Houston Texans, 7-5 Houston Texans facing the 6-6 Kansas City Chiefs. Did I read that right, Joe? 6-6 Chiefs, 7-5 Texans.
I've already fallen over a few times. I'm still in shock about that. But, yeah, I think you read it right.
Yep. At Arrowhead Stadium. Anyway, with 4:18 left in the first quarter, Kai Fairbairn kicked a 35-yard field goal to give the Texans the lead 3-0. With 9:24 left in the second quarter, Woody Marks caught a 9-yard touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud, giving the Texans the lead 10-0. Or as Woody Marks would say, reach for the sky. Like Woody from Toy Story. Anyway, that's actually they gave him that nickname because he likes Woody from Toy Story, and he actually dressed up as Woody for Halloween last year. That's why they call him Woody Marks. True story. Mm-hmm. With 9:52 left in the third quarter, Kareem Hunt scored a touchdown on a 2-yard run, cutting the score to 10-7 Texans. With 1:50 left in the third, Harrison Butker tied the game with a 36-yard field goal at 10-all. With 10:56 left in the fourth quarter, Dare Ogundaule scored the go-ahead touchdown to put the Texans ahead 17-10. With 30 seconds left in the game, Fairbairn kicked his second field goal of the night, giving the Texans the win 20-10. Wait, Joe, the Chiefs actually lost the game at Arrowhead. They've been 5-1 this year at home.
That's it. You talked about Toy Story and some of the stuff from there. I've been singing another song from a different movie after this game. It goes like this. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. I think we can officially say that. Finally, after all this time. I'm in shock that we're even having this conversation. But there's no way I could see the Kansas City Chiefs coming back and making the playoffs now.
You sound exactly like Craig Carlton. Craig Carlton was singing that today on his show. The Jets guy, he was singing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead" on his show.
I didn't even know that, and I'm sure there's millions of other people singing the same song with the same smile on their face that I have. I really, again, certain teams like the Patriots, like the Broncos, I have not been giving credit to all year, the credit that they truly deserve. I'm constantly wrong when I think they're finally going to fall, when I think they're finally going to lose. There's again a bunch of teams like the Patriots and Broncos specifically out there, Bears even, that I'm not giving enough credit. Well, the Chiefs are one of those teams all year that I just have given too much credit. I picked them to win the division in the beginning of the year. This game, so many games that we've played up until this point, I said, no, this is the Chiefs breakout game. This is the one where they show that they're the Chiefs. So I said the same thing in this game. The Texans were playing, they had won several games in a row. They were playing over their heads, I thought. That's another team I'm not giving a lot of credit here. But they were playing over their heads. Again, the Chiefs playing desperately at Arrowhead, like you said. There's no way that the Chiefs lose this game, and whatever the spread was, I think it was only 3. I was like, are you kidding that this is only 3.5? I said, this is one of the most easy wins I'm going to have the entire football season. And, I guess that's why my wallet is a little lighter this week, because I was 1,000% wrong about that. And I'm at a point now where I think there is not going to be any breakout game from the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you said you were, in the beginning, before you described this game, you thought like there must be a misprint or there must be something wrong with this. Well, I was looking earlier at Patrick Mahomes' stats. There must be a misprint here. Because that golden quarterback rating that I rave about, and I think is the truest indicator of the type of game a quarterback has. And I think the highest you can get is like a 156 or 159 or something like that. Do you know what Patrick Mahomes' quarterback rating in this game was in the biggest game of the year for the Kansas City?
It was like 19.8 or something.
That's exactly what it was. And so I looked at it earlier. I was like, wait, that has to be wrong. There's no way that one of the most clutch quarterbacks of our generation in a game where his team absolutely needs to win, that can't be. There's no way he had a 19.8 quarterback rating. Maybe was that the first drive? I mean, what, how could that be? But no, when you look at it, 160 yards passing, like 4.8 yards per completion, which is not good. No touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. He did have 59 yards rushing, but he didn't get much help and he kind of had to do it on his own. But how in the world does Patrick Mahomes get a 19.8 quarterback rating, when the season is on the line at home? Again, so many things about this shocked me, and I have no words except thank you, God. No, but seriously, I have no explanation for this. But I think the NFL playoffs, and especially in the AFC this year, is going to have one less thorn in its side.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But Joe, the one thing is though that Texans defense is for real though. That's the thing. That's the one thing you didn't give them enough credit either, I think.
No, I am now though, because I've seen the games that they've played. And now I'm blanking on who did they play after the Bills? Do you remember? Because they played another pretty good team there. The Colts, right?
Colts, yeah, and they beat them.
So, the whole country, excuse me, the whole country saw the Texans defense against the Bills and sacking Josh Allen 8 times. They saw them stop the machine that the Colts were. Unfortunately, their season is done, which I hate to see that, especially Daniel Jones and the comeback that he had. But again, the Texans completely shut down the Colts' firepower offense. And now, just again, one of the reasons that Patrick Mahomes had as bad a performance as he did is that Texans defense. So they're reminding me almost a little bit Again, I'm not getting too carried away here, but remember how that Ravens defense in the early 2000s was like unbeatable and just getting better and stronger and impenetrable as time went on? That's starting to happen here with this Houston Texans defense. And you want to talk about legit and you want to talk about real. I'm done not giving them enough credit because they are absolutely for real.
They were 0-3 to start out the year, too. Everybody was ready to write them off because their offensive line was really bad.
Right. And they're not winning it with offense, that's for sure. But this defense, I mean, some of the best offenses in football have floundered against them. So it'd be very interesting to see, if this continues and how far they can go if it does.
And Joe, speaking of Mahomes having a 19.8 QBR rating, what do you think of the fact that this was the second game where he was held to under a 50% completion percentage? And Joe, I wonder who was the first team to do it this year. Oh yeah, that's right.
Couldn't be the Buffalo Bills, was it?
It was.
Yeah. So I just don't know. He seemed off. Now, again, he's missing. He doesn't have some of the weapons that he had. And even some of the weapons that he does have, as in Travis Kelce, Kelce playing as a shadow of himself. And he still has some good games. But, offensive line being what it is there. Again, this is modern day, parody NFL. And the fact that the Chiefs – what they win 9 division championships in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to keep that going as long as they have. And again, don't think they're completely done. I mean, with as long as Mahomes is there, they have a chance. Again, may have to go through some retooling here, but for this year anyway, again, I mean, credit to the Chiefs. Again, we hated seeing their dominance over all these years. But again, you got to tip your hat to them that it lasted this long, but it ain't going to happen this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's part of that's our fault. We should have ended their dynasty the last 2 years, but that's a conversation for another day.
Right.
By that, I mean the playoff game last year and the one where they beat us in Buffalo.
Right.
Where Bass missed the field goal. We could have ended their dynasty a lot sooner. That was our fault. But anyway, what do you think about the Chiefs potentially missing the playoffs for the first time since 2014? That's right. Andy Reid's second year coaching the Chiefs when they were 9-7. Alex Smith was the quarterback then.
Yeah. As far as the Icona Pop song, I love it. That's it. I love it that they're not going to be a part of this playoff picture. Again, compliment them for all they've done. I mean, who besides the Patriots, wins 9 straight division championships in this modern day NFL?
The Bills won 5 in a row. Could be 6. But...
Right. But still, it's very, very difficult to do. And the fact that they did it is incredible. And again, it's not going to happen this year. And I think we're finally going to get a peaceful playoffs without the Kansas City Chiefs this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oops. Sorry, Joe. You're back on.
All right.
Accidentally hit you out there. My bad.
No, we'll just say I tripped and fell.
Okay. Anyway, well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, the second Tuesday of December?
Oh, my God. Did you just say December 2025? How in the world did we get to this point? And we were talking about this backstage. How in the world did we get to week 15 of the NFL season? God only knows. I mean, just time goes faster and faster. They say as you get older, time goes faster. And I'm certainly not that old, and you especially are not. But it's flying, and things are going really fast. But things are going to get good in the NFL here, even better than they've already been. But again, Joe Dal Sports, I am on Twitter X. You can find my takes there. And, shows like this one. and definitely, again, lots of good stuff coming up.
And then you can find me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dogtags on X, and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment, ring the bell for all notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top production, you can visit our YouTube page, Twitch stream, Facebook stream, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you much for listening. And remember, folks, this is a must-win game for the Bills this week against the Patriots to keep their division hopes alive. Let's all see how Grandpa Phillip Rivers fares for the Indianapolis Colts at age 44 in his tryout this week. And can the former Super Bowl champs beat any team moving forward? And that's, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. Mm-hmm. Fry, Eagles, fry, like Jeremy says. Anyway. And to quote our friend Chris Berman, I apologize for my voice, guys. I won't be able to scream it like this much, but I'll do my best. Nobody circles the wagons when Allen is 0-2 against Burrow and the Bengals are trying to get hot and the Bills finally get it done like the Buffalo Bills. See you next week, folks.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.